And we'll have plenty more from the men's discus very shortly. But now we move on. So it's the men's heats of the 110 metres hurdles. 8-man in this particular heat. And in this case, it's the 14 fastest that go through from the 3 heats. Just looking here at Enzo Diesel. Little bit surprised he hasn't been seeded, but I can tell you why, is because he's just graduated into the senior ranks. He's the European under-20 champion, but he ran his personal best recently at 13:40 in Eisenstadt, and I really wouldn't be surprised if he makes big inroads into that here. The very, very talented Hassan Fofana, 6 times national champion, although Lorenzo Simonelli now is flying the flag very much for Italy. Jakub Szymanski, European Indoor Championships silver medalist from Istanbul last year. Hasn't ever quite reproduced his indoor form. He's a super quick starter. Hasn't really followed it through outdoors so far in his career. Daniel Esches from Hungary, former European under-18 champion back in 2016. We saw Orlando Ortega coming back after injury, but the 2016 Olympic Games silver medalist. On his outside, Filip Jakub Demsar of Slovenia and Tim Eichmann of Germany. So there's the 8 men in this particular heat. Well, the men to look out for, I think, certainly Diesel, super talented athlete, still 20 years of age. Szymanski, Ortega, let's see what he can do. So it's Costa, Diesel, Fofana, Szymanski, Esses, Ortega, Demsar and Eichmann. And Szymanski is indeed the quickest away, but he's crashing through the hurdles, the pole, even though he's leading the way at the moment. Diesel trying to close the gap on him. Szymanski, though, at the moment, the pole. There's a lot of splintered woodwork out there, but it is Szymanski who comes through in 13:54.
Yeah, good job there by Szymanski. They were all closing fast on him, particularly Enzo Diesel, the young Austrian. I know that their camp have been very excited about his potential at these championships. Polish athlete just in front. Demsar getting third, 10th of a second, and more behind Diesel. Poland, another nation, very strong in the sprint hurdles. So here, Szymanski from lane 4, lightning fast, and the blocks after being a little slow to rise. Very, very smooth. It's just at this later stage where other athletes establish more momentum compared to him. Diesel, really good finish there. And that angle makes it look incredibly tight. At this point, he knew he had the victory.
Well, that's just 800ths outside of his personal best for Jakub Szymanski. As I said, very fast starter, really very much an indoor specialist. Personal best indoors of 7:46. And Szymanski on this occasion clocking 13:53, followed home by Enzo Diesel.
So this is heat 2 of the men's 110-metre hurdles with Roman Lecoeur on the inside. We're seeing also the newly launched kits for this year as well. France having had that very iconic design with the Louvre on their vests. I suppose this will be the kit they'll wear at the Olympic Games too. The Italians, the kit they're wearing on home soil. This is Niccolò Giacalone of Italy, 1371 he's improved to this year. And then Balin Seles of Hungary, Mikdad Shevler of Turkey, 1336 at best. New Spanish kit as well for Kevin Sanchez. Eli Bakari, 13:46. Joint fastest time this year out of this set of athletes. Santeri Kusiniemi, writer picture, and Max Trelia of Sweden. 13:51 season's best set in Järvi in Estonia last month. And really, you had to be performing pretty well last month in order to make these championships. Obviously, the qualification period does go further back, but lots of athletes rewarded for early season strong performances. So once again, qualification through to the semi-finals done based on time. The fastest seeded athletes are already waiting there. They've got to buy through to those semi-finals, and then it'll be the next best 14 from these heats. Lecur, Giacalone, Seles, Sevler, Sanchez, Bakari, Kusiniemi and Trelia. Seles eager to go. He has 5 Hungarian titles, that's including indoors and outdoors. It's quite impressive, given that there are some decent Hungarian sprint hurdlers, including Balas Bay and Valdo Schuks, that we've seen at these championships over the last few years. Well, you would have thought this would be a green card, and reset, refocus, straight back on with it. Looks to be a yellow card. So is it going to be shown to Seles? It's actually the athlete in lane 5. Seles did pop out the blocks, but there was also some movement from Schevler. In any case, athletes called to their marks. And with a bit of luck, they'll soon spring out of those blocks. So once again, Lecur, Giacalone, Seles, Sevler, Sanchez, all the S's in the middle, Bakari, Kusiniemi and Trelia. Heat number 2 of the men's 110-metre hurdles. Good start there from Seles. The faller early on, Trelia of Sweden toppled over. Bakari coming through very strongly here with Schevler, and Lecur just about holding on to 3rd place. Bakari 13:62, so about 1.5 tenths off his new personal best this year, but still very, very strong. And it all comes down to time, of course. There is Trelia. It was pretty much the first hurdle that he smashed into and ended up on the ground, right? Dramatically from the start.
Yes, what a pity for Max Aurelia, but up in front, Bakari, the Belgian, as we look here at the French representative, Romain Lecur. He's got himself into the semi-finals with 14 men to go through, the fastest 14. So fairly comfortable qualification standards. Won't need quite conceivably faster than 13:80 to get through. As we look at it again, Aurelia, the faller on the outside, and he sadly doesn't make it beyond the first hurdle. But the Belgian getting into his stride. Bakari looking very good. Some very tidy, neat hurdling there. Seles, a bit more ragged, but certainly has the speed between the barriers and comes through strongly for 2nd place. So, some good running from these men, bearing in mind that they're going to be joining Europe's top hurdlers a little bit later on tomorrow. So among the men who have already been seeded, Asier Martinez, the defending champion, the fastest man in Europe, Jason Joseph.
It's what, 5 to 11, the sun's pretty high in the sky, and actually 90% of the track is full exposure to the rays of the sun. It's very warm in the arena. We're lucky, we're up in the in the gods,
Yeah,
in the breeze, in the shade.
Right, so the third heat of the men's 110 metres hurdles, and on the inside, well, Christophe Kilian. We've seen 2 poles go through in the women's 100 metres hurdles, one being disqualified as well. Job Geerts, 2 times national champion indoors for the Netherlands. A bit like Szymanski, who won the first heat. His best times have come indoors. He's a very good runner indoors, very good quick starter. But hasn't been able to yet quite deliver the times expected outdoors. Vladimir Vukovic, now 33 years of age. 11 times national champion for Norway. Former World Under-20 silver medalist. We saw Konstantinas Duvalidis, 37 years of age now, Duvalidis. Elmo Larka, many of these men having won multiple national titles. Larka, 9 times champion outdoors, 10 times champion indoors over the barriers. Alin Anton, also a very good quick man behind the hurdles as a former Romanian champion over 200 metres. Manuel Mordi. And on the outside, Mathieu Jacquet of Switzerland. So there's the 8 men: Kilian, Geerts, Vukosevic, Duvalidis, Laka, Anton, Mordi and Jacquet. No mistaking who they're cheering for. Elmo Laka. And the fastest man in this field with a personal best of 13:31. And Jacquet, good start, but then crashing into hurdles here. Doing well, Mordi, the German champion last year, coming through, and on the inside, Kilian as well. So it's lanes 2 and 8 at the moment. And it looks as though Kilian just got up there off the last barrier. Just wait for confirmation of the times. A couple of times they've been a little bit off, but 13:78, so a relatively slow heat. No, they're giving it to Mordi. Mordi just coming through in lane 8. Kilian, though, same time for him, and both men will get through to tomorrow's semi-finals, but they'll need to up their game quite considerably to have a chance of making the final later on tomorrow night. Anton, 13:90, Vukosevic, 13:93, and Jacquet, 14 seconds exactly.
Yeah, so having a look at Mordi, second from the outside. In the gold vest of Germany, Kilian in the white and red of Poland. Very close on the line there. And if you just joined us, it's all going down to time. So that graphic that was bottom right of your screen's not just showing those in the kind of proverbial time qualifying positions that you'd normally see behind a front 2 or a front 3. That is everyone that is set to qualify through from the heats to the semi-finals, where they will be joined by those who were already seeded to the point they did not have to take part in the heats at all.
So, confirmation of the full results from the men's heats of the hurdles, led by the Heat 1 winner, Jakub Szymanski, 13:53, Enzo Diesel, 13:56, they're the top 2, all the way down to Santa Kuzniemi, 13:84. He gets through with 13:84. Slower than that, and you're on your way home. We saw there also
Semi-finals in the men's 110-metre hurdles coming up. The athletes are out there and ready. The barriers have been raised from those women's semi-finals. And Asier Martinez of Spain goes in this first semi-final. Season's best 13:29 ranks him 8th in Europe this year. Costa, well, twice Dutch champion, only 13:70 in the heats yesterday. Romain Lecoeur of France, 13:42 performer at his best, 13:46 this year. He's about 15th ranked in Europe, but the French are performing really well. And once you get that wave of energy through a team, it can work wonders. Manuel Mordi of Germany, goes in 4. 13.36 this year. That's his personal best too. He's in good form. Abasui of Belgium, he's the European #1. 13.20 this year. That was a couple of weeks ago. And Montgeron, watch him. He goes in 5. That's an ace draw too. 7th at the World Indoors in Glasgow. Asier Martinez goes in 6, as I said. 13.29 this year. But his lifetime best makes him the quickest in the race, the Spaniard. He's in 6. Tade Ojora goes for Great Britain in lane 7. 13.26 his lifetime best, but 13.48 this year, I suspect, if he wants to push on from this. Remember, it is just the first 2 who'll go through by right. He will need to go quicker than that. Krzysztof Kilian going in lane 8 for Poland. He's a 13.67 performer this year, and on that sort of clocking, he really will struggle against the likes of Obasui and Martinez. And then Filip Jakob Demsar of Slovenia completes the lineup. He's in lane 9 on the near side in that fluorescent green top. 13.64 this year, very close to his lifetime best. Well, the championship record still belongs to a certain Colin Jackson from Budapest back in 1998. Remember those championships, 26 years ago now. European leader Michael Obasui of Belgium goes in this first semi-final in lane 5. Costa in 2 for the Netherlands. Leclerc of France in 3. Mordi of Germany 4. Belgium's Asui in 5. Watch him. Martinez, Spain 6. Ojora, Britain in 7. Kilian 8 for Poland. And Demsar of Slovenia on the near side in 9. Long time in the blocks there, really good start from Obasui. He's so strong out of the blocks, but going well alongside him is Martinez of Spain in the Originier, and he leads at the moment. Oh, a trouble for Ojora of Britain, but look at this from Martinez. Martinez and Obasui, 1-2 there on the line. A good third there for the Frenchman, Leclerc over on the far side, but it's only 1 and 2 who go through by right, and that winning time, 13.30. And 13.29, in fact, is confirmed on our computer system here. Martinez winning it in equaling his season's best from Obasui, 13.31. Virtually 0 difference between them, a thickness of that Spanish vest. But it's a significant win, and more importantly, goes through to tonight's final.
Yes, Martinez now really starting to race himself back to form after injuries last year, which saw him miss the World Championships. And this will be a huge confidence boost for the Spaniard. He even had the luxury, coming off the last barrier, of looking to his inside and having a look at Obasui, who was up on his shoulder, but it's Martinez that gets the verdict. Indeed, Martinez, late autumn, said he'd had a couple of races, and if he hadn't have seen some possible glimmer of coming back to his old self, he might well have retired. And I think at this very moment in time, he's glad that he didn't. So Martinez just disappears off, and he'll just warm down and then warm up again. The men's 110 metres hurdles heat coming up just a little later in the programme.
There it is, Martinez, only 24 and thinking of retirement. Well, he's just won his semi-final. He's into the European Championship final, 13.29. Well, we go back to the track. The second semi-final, the men's 110-metre hurdles. They're coming through thick and fast. After these hurdles, it's the semi-finals, the men's 100, and then there's the finals later on.
Yes, the second semi-final. We just saw the first one in 13.29 by a Spaniard. And this is another one. Orlando Ortega won the Olympic Games silver medal back in 2016. He's had a terrible series of injuries in recent years. This is the very good Italian, Hassan Fofana, somewhat eclipsed now by his compatriot, Lorenzo Simonelli, who we're going to see in the third and final heat. Looks as though there's been a slight redrawing of the heat. Enzo Diesel, European under-20 champion, 13.11 over the under-20 hurdles heights. 13.40 he ran recently in Eisenstadt. Just getting to grips with the technicalities of this event, having just turned 20 years of age. Rafael Mohamed, personal best recently in Montcarral of 13.27. Jason Joseph, World Championships finalist last year, European indoor champion in Istanbul over 60 metres hurdles. The former European under-20 champion himself. Damian Shakir, now 31 years of age, 13 times a national champion indoors and out for Poland. Another man who's made World Championship finals as well, will have ambitions of doing the same on a continental stage. El Bakkari won his heat yesterday, looked very good in doing so. And on the outside, Tim Eickerman. Well, Eickerman probably will need to up his game. Personal best of 13.61. He's got the outside lane, and he'll need to probably do a little bit better to make the final. And those qualifying conditions, just to remind you, first three across the line, get an automatic qualifier. I should correct myself. In fact, it's Jazz alongside me who's waving two fingers at me. It's two to go through and two automatic qualifiers. So the Italians are looking at Fofana in lane 2. In the central lanes, perhaps we should be looking at Mohamed, Joseph and Shakir, the men in lanes 5, 6 and 7. So as they settle down, as we look at the men in the hot seat, Demsar and Lecour of France, Ortega, Lecour, Diesel, Mohamed, Joseph, Shakir, Bakkari and Eickerman. And they're pulling them back. Well, that was a late recall. It might well be Ortega, but we'll just wait for confirmation of that. But a rather late recall. They'd gone full pelt over the first flight of hurdles before they heard the gun. So we can see on the screen there, it is indeed Bakkari. The red background, he got a flyer. Back to the long jump, Herden, the German, 7.92, lying in 8th place at the moment.
Well, sitting in that 8th spot is a precarious place to be. It is the last position that will make it into the 4th round. It could be an improvement. It looks around somewhere similar on that 8-meter mark. He gave himself quite a lot of space there on the board. And the pressure's on for Herden, as he knows there are men behind him that could bump him out. But it's 8.01. He does put some more distance between him and 9th place, and in fact moves himself into 7th place.
So very tight there in places 5, 6, 7 and 8, who actually have 3 further jumps as we look at Bakkari. With the naked eye, it's very difficult to tell, and we were only talking about a few thousandths. So Bakkari getting a warning. Very tight indeed. Less than 1/10 of a second, 100th of a second. So as they settle down once again from the inside, Orlando Ortega in lane 2, San Fofana 3, Enzo Diesel of Austria, the reigning European under-20 champion 4, Rafael Mohamed, the highly rated Frenchman, who's qualified and beaten some of the better-known names to make it here to Rome in 5. Jason Joseph, you can see there in the center of your screen, the highly rated Swiss athlete in 6. Damian Shakir, 7th. El Bakkari, the man who's just been warned, in 8. And Tim Eickerman of Germany in 9. There's a little bit of rocking there from the athletes. They're taking a long time before being called into the set position. Nerves playing their part. And they're cleanly away this time, and it's Shakir getting a very, very good start. A lot of athletes clattering into hurdles, but Shakir at the moment clear. Bakkari doing well. Now Jason Joseph coming through on his inside, and Joseph pulls clear. Mohamed on his inside. Shakir might just have got 3rd, but I think the first 2, it's going to be Joseph and Mohamed Joseph indeed confirmed 13:35, not quite as quick as the first semi-final, but a good win, and that gets him into the final later on in the evening. Rafael Mohammed, 13:37, just 200ths in arrears.
Yeah, Joseph, tremendously strong over the final 2 or 3 flights, coming through like a train, frankly, because I thought Diesel had that. He was brilliant for about the first 6 or 7 flights. He was well in the lead, and then he got swallowed up. But Joseph taking it in 13:35. It was Jacquier, wasn't it? Sorry, who was early leader and then ended up back in 3rd place. Same time, mind you, as Bakari in 4th place. And at the moment, Phil, the 2 non-automatic qualifier spots filled by Jacquier and Bakari from that second semi when they were 3rd and 4th.
Yes, and a personal best into the bargain for Bakari after that nervous start.
Here you see it again. Brilliant start, it really was, from Jacquier. The pole on this side, and this point is well clear. And look how far back Joseph is in that Swiss vest. But Joseph comes through literally over the last couple of flights, and a fabulous drive off the final barrier. Look at that, so determined. And beyond him, also going well, was Mohammed in that French vest.
And I'll tell you what, off that final hurdle, Mohammed went from 4th to 2nd with that super surge over the final 10 metres. As we look
back to this 3rd semi-final on the men's 110-metre hurdles. This is Santeri Kusuniemi, 13:84 in his heat, the Finn. He goes in lane 2. He'll need to go quite a bit quicker than that to get anywhere near a qualifying position. And he can. His season's best is his lifetime best, 13:58. Jakub Szymanski, 5th at the World Indoors in Glasgow a few weeks back. He's had a good winter at the pole. Can he transfer that now into a place in the European Championship final? 13:45, his lifetime best recently. Almost in the European top 10. Lorenzo Nandelli Simonelli, listen to that. And he is the real deal. He's the European number 2, and he was 2nd in the World Indoors in Glasgow, and he's just 22, the Italian, in lane 4. Enrique Lopez of Spain goes in 5. 4th at the World Indoors. Many of these men wintered well and raced in Glasgow. Mark Hayden of the Netherlands goes in 6th. European under-20 silver medalist back in 2019, but he has run 13:35 this year, and that makes him ranked number 10 in Europe. The very experienced Cypriot Milan Trajkovic goes in 7, European indoor champion back in 2019. He was 7th in the Rio final. He's probably the most experienced in this field, but he's only raced 3 times this year. Miktat Sevilla goes in 8th for Turkey. 13:63 this season. He'll need to go quicker than that significantly. And Balin Jeles of Hungary completes the lineup in 9. Hungarian has run 13:67 this year. So the 3rd and final semi-final of the men's 110-metre hurdles. Just the first 2 go through by right, with 2 non-automatic qualifier spots up for grabs. A lot of noise in the arena. Really good crowd in the stadium too. It's a massive upturn from the last evening. Tens of thousands in the arena now, this massive Olympic stadium. So Jacquier and Bakari, the non-automatic qualifiers at the moment, on 13:44. That's the target for the 3rd placer here.
So.
Ooh, messy start that, and I think there was a twitch. Impossible to know where it was, but interestingly, Simonelli, the Italian, in lane 4, never budged. Stayed stuck still in his blocks. And it was quite a messy, that one. Jazz, that was unusual, wasn't it? There was couple of guys made it to the first barrier, others in their blocks, and the rest in between.
To me, that's a risky strategy to absolutely stop. Because if the race doesn't get called back, then you are completely left.
Well, from that, it doesn't look like anybody broke the rules. Oh, I tell you what, Lopez, that was a minus sign in front of that time, I think. Have a look. Yeah, there he goes. Oh, the early twitch, and then he sat back. Oh, and of course he was the last to get away, but I fear for the Spaniard, that would be an enormous shame.
We're we're seeing quite a bit more leniency at this champs than we've seen in recent years.
In the USA.
It's a joke.
They'll have you for that.
Hey. I don't care. Disciplinary warning. It's a bit like a yellow card in football. It means virtually nothing, really.
It does make it sound a bit more serious when you add disciplinary on it, though.
Well, what, does he get a good spanking when he gets back to the athlete's village? I mean, it doesn't mean anything. He gets to start again, doesn't he?
It does.
If they moved the blocks back half a metre, then it would have significance. Hey.
Put that to World Athletics. They can throw that in with the takeoff zone.
You put it in the same category, would you?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Third semi-final, the men's 110-metre hurdles. There's a lovely bit of headgear. Sort of. 8 men then, second time of asking. Lopez of Spain with a disciplinary warning goes in 4. The Italian darling Simonelli, World Indoor Championship silver medalist, goes in 4. Lopez is in 5. Simonelli in the blue.
Set.
Away well this time. Simonelli gets away pretty well, so in particular to Szymanski of Poland. Szymanski of Poland looking really strong. Now Lopez coming through for Spain. It's really tight, but Simonelli battling away, and home advantage maybe giving him the win, or does it? He eases through the line there with Lopez. He hit the last barrier, otherwise I think he'd have taken that by a few inches. And there's a faller, and it's Kusaniemi of Finland. He was always going to be an outsider, both literally and figuratively in that race. But the Italians loving it, and we do want the home team to go well. We want the atmosphere to build here in the Stadio Olimpico. And Simonelli takes that one, 13.20, and it equals the European lead. That was quick.
And not just equals the European lead, it's a new Italian record by 100th of a second, beating his own mark from 3 weeks ago. Well, he'd been promising Italian records during the indoor season. I actually chatted to him in Madrid, where he first set an Italian indoor record, and he said, yeah, it's going to fall. It's one of his targets, and he's got just gradually better and better over the course of that indoor season. And then, as things have moved on into the outdoors, he looks really, really slick. As we can see here, got a great start. Szymanski, perhaps the bester of the starters, but then coming through from the 5th hurdle, Simonelli, Lopez, despite that warning, comes through.
And a significant personal best for the Spaniard, too, in second place. That's a brilliant run from him. Oh, somebody crashing to the ground there. It was the Dutchman Hayden. Doesn't even make the finish line. Oh.
Now, was Milan Trashkovic quick enough to see him through as one of the fastest non-automatic losers? No. His automatic qualifiers, no by 300ths of a second. So from that semi-final, it's just Simonelli and Lopez.
Yep. Both of them were in second place. They were third and fourth, rather, in semi-2 in 13.44. Personal best for...
Well, now, after all that excitement in the field, especially in the men's shot put, we now return to the track, and it's the men's 110 metres hurdles. Well, there's the crowd favourite, Lorenzo Simonelli. On the inside, though, Santeri Kusaniemi. Well, Kusaniemi has been pushed through to the final on appeal after being impeded in his semi-final. So Kusaniemi gets in through the back door after finishing 6th in his particular semi-final. One won by Simonelli. Alongside him, El Bakari, personal best of 13.44 in his semi-final. Rafael Mohamed looked extremely good indeed as he sped his way through to qualifying. Asier Martinez, winner of his semi-final in season equaling 13.29, and the Spanish flags are flying. But this is the man the crowd are here to see. An Italian record of 13.20 in the semi-final just under an hour and a half ago. And he's getting them all behind him. He's quite a character, part of the new generation of athletes that are coming through to really grab the attention of Italian athletics fans like Matteo Falani Well, Jason Joseph, fastest man in this field with a best of 13.08. Hasn't been in quite that form though, but did win his semi-final. Enrique Llopis improved his personal best to 13.22 in his semi. And this is the man who now is the joint European leader. 13.20 in Monte Carlo last month. The Belgian Michael Obosoyi. And on the outside, the quick starting Damian Czekir of Poland. Czekir, of course, fantastic credentials indoors. Has never quite fulfilled his potential outdoors. But he showed that he can put the pressure on, certainly over the first half of this race in his semi-final. So all eyes, as you can see, with that camera looking down. Lane 5, those 10 hurdles are on Lorenzo and Deli Simonelli, World Indoor Championship silver medalists. So from the inside, Kusanemi, Finland, Bakari, Belgium, Mohamed, France, Martinez, Spain, Simonelli, Italy, Joseph, Switzerland, Lopez, Spain, Obasui, Belgium, and Czekir in Poland. And it is Czekir who gets out very quickly as they're pulled back. They got over 2 hurdles, just crashing through the third set of barriers. Not immediately obvious what the infraction was there.
Do you know, we've had an awful lot of full starts, haven't we, tonight? We really have, and I wonder if it's this big, enthusiastic, but perhaps not particularly experienced Italian crowd gathered around the blocks and the start area. You know, there's just been too many. It's bizarre. You get championships sometimes, you get days where there's hardly one. We've had half a dozen tonight.
Well, Martinez just got the fractional of flyers back into the field.
Third round of this women's discus final then, with Jorinda van Klinken, who is in third place at this point, trying to close down the 64-metre throw of Liniana Saab, Portugal. 64.53 it is. Van Klinken certainly cut that gap. Be able to hear in the background there's cheering from Leonardo Fabri, making a lot of noise. But looking at this Van Klinken effort, 64.47. So just 6 centimetres now behind the Portuguese athlete in second. Sandra Alkasevic will be watching this, wondering if anyone is going to close the margin to her. She's on her way at the moment to a 7th consecutive European title. Irina Rodrigues, her teammate in front of her. Rodrigues with the Portuguese record, though, this year. And she also looks to improve in this third round. Quite often we do see that, because you've kind of dusted off any cobwebs, you've got into your rhythm a little bit more. Sometimes in the 4th and 5th round we see athletes taking that little bit more risk that sometimes doesn't pay off and leads to a few more fouls, but 2nd and 3rd round sometimes more improvements. 62.76 remains in 4th.
So now they've reset the men's 110 metres hurdles, put most of the first 3 flights back up, and the 9 men in this final are back behind the start line, settling into their blocks. The lineup once again: Kusanemi, Finland; Bakari, Belgium; Mohamed, France; Martinez, Spain; Simonelli, Italy; Joseph, Switzerland; Llopis, Spain; Obasui, Belgium; and on the outside in lane 9, Czekir of Poland. And they're away this time, and Simonelli gets an excellent start. He's crashing into a few hurdles. Czekir got a good start as well. Now Llopis coming through very strongly to challenge Simonelli. Now it's Simonelli all the way through to the line. Llopis takes silver. Just look at that time. He's taken more than a 10th of a second off his Italian record in the semi-finals. Without doubt, a personal best, I think, for Enrique Llopis, coming through for a surprise silver medal. There you can see it, a European lead, Lorenzo Simonelli by 0.15 of a second. A flying run for the Italian. He stated back in the indoor season that a European title was his objective. He wasn't going to disappoint his home crowd. He's got about 30 of his friends and family here. He's had to put in several requests for more tickets. It's all been worthwhile. Lorenzo Simonelli is the 2024 European 110 metres hurdles champion, and to boot with an Italian record.
Yes, and it's only 0.03 of a second off Colin Jackson's championship record from 1998. And, you know, feel sorry for some of the other contenders, like great Asier Martinez, who had a really messy race and finished in 7th place in the end. But this was the man that the crowd were rooting for. Simonelli, been so strong over the last couple of years, a real breakthrough for him. Part of a great Italian young generation that's rising through the ranks, and this has really rubber-stamped it for him with the gold medal, best in Europe this year. And that is a really strong margin of victory for a sprint hurdles race as well. More than 1/10 of a second from Llopis, not the Spaniard that you may be expected to see on the podium, as Switzerland get another medal tonight in what's proving to be a pretty strong championships for them. So we'll have another look here. Simonelli in the blue vest, which almost matches the track here, marching away. Martinez to his left, and right a picture as we see it. There's the messy race that he had, really tangled off that final barrier there, as Llopis kept it together in order to get a fantastic silver medal for him. Big battle between the likes of Joseph, overcoming Obisui, as well as Mohamed of France for that bronze medal, but well in the clear. That is a different postcode, really, especially compared to 3rd place and the victor for a 110 hurdles race for Lorenzo Andele Simonelli. If you didn't know the name already, you do now.
And he's just 21 years of age. Well, he's got his lucky straw hat. It's been tossed out to him by a member of his family. And you can see him just deservedly milking the applause. Just waiting to get the straw hat that he was tossed, as you saw before the replay started. There's just a recap of the results. Simonelli, European lead, Italian record 13.05. Enrique Llopis, 13.16, personal best by 0.06 of a second. Jason Joseph looking very disappointed despite taking the bronze medal. Disappeared off the track very quickly, and then the best of the rest, all a long way back.